I'm Naomi Hopple, and this is Vibrant Sunshine Behind the Scenes. Join me as I grow my organic cold-pressed juicery to the next level. As a lover of podcasts, I started this show because I noticed a significant gap in the voices of small business owners like me. So oftentimes, brick and mortar business owners are invisible. We exist behind the scenes, and our struggles and triumphs are uncelebrated and unseen. My hope is that this show will inspire other entrepreneurs as I document and share my own journey. Thanks for being here. It's April 24th, 2023, and today, 10 years into my entrepreneurial journey, I signed a bank loan to convert an old produce market into the dream location and headquarters of my organic cold pressed juice company. It's been a long journey, and I can't wait to tell you about everything that's happened in the last 8 months that led to this moment. Last summer, I was 2 weeks postpartum when a $25,000 shipment of products went missing somewhere between Chicago and Pittsburgh. I had been growing my wholesale business for a year and a half at that point and exploring different options of growth, in this case, contract manufacturing. So I painstakingly had developed and partnered with a co-packer that had gone through a rigorous and expensive process of figuring out how to create my drinks, my recipes, my formulas. And after several extremely disappointing experiences over time, they underinsured and lost $25,000 worth of juice somewhere in Ohio for 3 weeks, unrefrigerated, and eventually had to destroy it. So this caused a huge ricochet effect in my budding wholesale business, where we had begun to rely upon the contract manufactured juice, and we could no longer sustain the accounts that we had. We were working hard in-house to try to make up for what we had lost and expecting it to maybe show up still or like to be replaced in a reasonable amount of time. But we went about 2 months without any product from the contract manufacturer. During that time, we also saw rapid price increases that weren't warranted by the actual market prices of things. Instead, it was because the contract manufacturer had recently gone public and were basically pushing out their smaller customers, us being a small business. So in the end, this really frustrating experience could have broken us, but instead, looking at like what we do and believing in our mission of providing easily accessible and consumable fruits and vegetables to the greater population of our region, we decided to try to bring things back in-house and to continue that growth organically, doing it ourselves, because at the end of the day, we were the only reliable part of this equation. So we began seeking real estate. We began looking for a place to rehome. We had since outgrown our tiny production kitchen and retail footprint, and we needed a place to live as a business. So back in August, my husband, being a real estate broker, helped me identify a location that would be perfect for us. And it was, close to our home. It was an existing commercial kitchen with additional space where we could have office and retail. There was parking, and there was this cute kitchen concept that allowed us to gain additional revenue to help pay the mortgage by leasing out short-term rental, to food trucks and caterers, people who just needed access to a commercial kitchen but couldn't warrant the whole expense of a personal kitchen for themselves. So we went through several months of putting this mortgage together to purchase this property and had everything aligned when everything just went to shit. The owner got wigged out, and I don't really know, seemed to be very manipulative. All of a sudden, the appraisal came back way lower than it should have, and she had no interest in negotiating. The appraisal also made it evident that there was a flood zone that just touched the property that would make us require insurance that was above and beyond what we expected in our monthly mortgage payments. And long story short, we fell out of contract mostly because of the impatience of the person selling the property. And I was beside myself. I have been all in, not seeing any other way, really focusing on like the power of positive thinking, manifestation, just believing that we have such a purpose and a positive impact that this would work out. This is it. This is the way forward. And we fell out of contract and I was beside myself, but I thought, like maybe it'll still work out. I didn't know what to think. Everything with the bank was aligned and it seems like our SBA loan was going to go through. So we decided to regroup and continue working on the loan. And we had the idea that maybe it would come back around. They allegedly had another offer, but we didn't know if that was true. So we figured we would just push forward and see where we were when the loan was fully ready to finance. Meanwhile, down the street a mile, a dream property that we had identified years ago and would always pass on our way to the movie theater or the grocery store and say, oh, wouldn't that be nice? My husband, passing it one day, said, I'm going to put a lowball offer in on this property. And he told me what it would be. And I said, you're crazy. Now, a little bit about Adam, my husband. He is also a serial entrepreneur in the real estate space. He does just a little bit of everything having to do with real estate. And he's one of those people that tends to think every property is for sale. He'll say, what about that property? Why don't we buy that property? And I'll say, Adam, that property isn't for sale. And he'll say, who says? So in this case, I said, okay, Adam, go for it. Go ahead and put in that lowball offer, just sort of rolling my eyes at him. Well, little did I know that over the course of 3 years of being on the market, the owner needed to sell the property. And the original listing price that she had on the property, it wasn't selling. So I think we just, through a stroke of luck, hit at just the right moment that this woman said, yes, okay, let's do this. And I was so surprised and so excited, exasperant, just so happy. Everything made sense at that point. It didn't make any sense to me why the first property could fall through. And I mean, how, I had not even imagined that it could be something so much better, a property that was my dream property. So this property used to be a beloved family business, a produce market on the corner of a busy street lined with fast food restaurants and shopping centers at the very corner of a cute walking community that has river access and hundreds of gorgeous old homes, and directly across the street from a hospital that is known for wonderful surgeons and great facilities. They are one of our region's destination hospitals. They have over 250 beds, over 1,000 physicians who work there. It is an amazing location. And aside from just being excited to be in this community, did I mention there's also parking on site? We are excited to have the opportunity to offer our organic plant-based products to this community. And we're also really excited that this old produce market has 2 gigantic walk-in coolers built into the facility. So from here on out, after 3 months of working on a project and having it completely fall through to the ground, trying to pick up the pieces and then landing back with this building contract that is way better than I could have ever imagined. We are so excited. Anyway, this landed us still 4 months ago. And then from there on out, there were a series of other issues that cropped up here and there in the other place. I was waiting for 3 months for the SBA to approve our loan, giving them everything they could ever ask for, including our tax return in February. Who has their business tax return done in February? Well, we went above and beyond for these people, gave them everything they asked for, and because we had a projection-based loan and we didn't have a history of being able to service this type of a mortgage, we were denied the SBA loan. So again, we're back at the square one at like, how can this be? Like everything is aligned. But we quickly were able to, with the help of our amazing bank, big shout out to Enterprise Bank, which is a small bank here in Western Pennsylvania. They have one location and they have a very entrepreneurial attitude toward their financing and really get their loan officers and their bankers involved in the actual dividends, the actual return on the profit from the loans. So their bankers are actually entrepreneurs themselves. Anyway, I really appreciate them and their ability to bounce back from this huge setback after 3 months of waiting. And in the end, everything hit perfectly that we were able to bounce back and, instead of the SBA, work with another financing program that only happens during the month of April. So here we are, April 24th. Everything has finally come back full circle together, and we are now the proud owners of our dream location that needs some work. But after 4 months of developing floor plans, working on the interior design, applying for permitting from the health department, applying for permitting from the Department of Agriculture, we are very well equipped and on our way. And looking back, it has been a little bit of a nightmare at times, definitely a roller coaster, but it could not have been any other way. And here we are. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for being here, and I can't wait to share more of my journey with you.